Let's begin with a prayer together. Divine Mother, Heavenly Father, friend, beloved God, great masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Sri Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar Ji, Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, friend and guide, Swami Kriyananda Ji, we humbly bow at thy feet. Divine Masters, we thank you for these teachings on healing, for the presence of thy power, thy light in our lives. Guide us in drawing thy light ever more deeply, ever more powerfully into our body, mind, and spirit, that we may be channels for your light in this world. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you for joining, friends. So, working with life's rhythms. It's a beautiful topic with many deep layers that we can open to understanding. We will look at a few today. And to start with, I was thinking, what is rhythm? Rhythm is a flow of energy. And when that flow of energy is tensed, or it lacks alignment, or there is resistance to that flow of energy, we experience a discordant rhythm. Whereas when there is overcoming, when there is acceptance, when there is transcending, we see a rhythm that is harmonious. Excuse me, my throat seems to be. We see a discordant that is harmonious. Sorry, a rhythm that is harmonious. So when we look at our life, there is a rhythm to everything. Our breath follows a certain rhythm. Our sleep, food, many biological processes in our body follow a certain rhythm. Are we aware of these rhythms? Because it requires awareness to be able to then control the flow of energy within us to be in alignment with that rhythm. This is very important, and this is one of the solutions to working with life's rhythms in a harmonious way, to be aware of what the rhythm is, and then therefore to be able to control that flow of energy so as to serve that natural rhythm more powerfully and more intentionally. So here choice becomes a very important thing when we try to adapt, when we try to take charge sometimes of life's changing rhythms. And I want to start with a simple example. Many of us already are aware of terms like adrenaline fatigue and how the hormone cortisol, is released during times of stress, and how in not adapting to the natural biological process within us, we go out of harmony with this very natural rhythm in our lives. If we all know, the hormone cortisol is produced, in the early part of the morning so that we have energy to go through the day. And then through the day, slowly it begins to reduce. And towards the evening, it begins to wind down so that we can get to sleep and rest. Now imagine if instead of getting down to sleep and rest, we try to push our evening into late nights and sometimes into the late morning. What happens? The cortisol levels have to stay elevated at certain levels, and then this leads to something that we call adrenaline fatigue. And when we mess with these natural rhythms, we see that the symptoms, our body, our mind, our spirit is unable to weather these fluctuating, unpredictable rhythms that are put into motion. It's a shock to the system. So it's important for us in this particular example to be aware, as even Sri Yukteswar Ji writes in the autobiography of a yogi. He tells Yogananda Ji after they walk by the Ganges, and as the evening approaches, he says, "Let us hie homeward within." And this is a very good principle. Follow the natural rhythms. The sun rises, we rise to meet the day. The sun sets, we too begin to go within and wind down outward activities and begin an inner journey till the next day. So likewise, there are natural rhythms of a much broader. There are much broader rhythms also. For example, this 24-hour rhythm is called the circadian rhythm, and which many biological processes within our body follow. Then there is also something called the ultradian rhythm, and this is, they say, one of the examples is that our brain can focus intensely for about between 20 to 90 minutes at a time. And after that, our concentration begins to dip. And it is good if we can take a break at that time and come back for, another intense period of activity. But when we don't do that, when we are continuously, constantly going at one shot, just persisting through many labored hours, what happens is we begin to get tired, we begin to lose focus, and whatever we are doing begins to also lack quality, begins also to lack enthusiasm, spirit. So this is another one of those rhythms. This is within 24 hours, shorter rhythms that help towards harmony, towards more relaxed expressions. So it's a good thing to keep in mind that even likewise, even sleep, every 90 minutes, there's a sleep cycle. And you will notice that every 90 minutes is the time sometimes when you just wake up, and then you go back to sleep. Again, it's another 90 minutes. I've observed this in my own sleep. So there are these shorter rhythms also within larger rhythms that our body is used to. Then, of course, there are the larger rhythms of many years. We know the cycle of the yugas, we know planetary cycles. And these are all the natural rhythms that we come with, that we participate in. And many external factors like the nation that we are in, our ethnicity, our family, um, um, and the culture that we are in, our karmic patterns, all of this also contribute to how we respond to a rhythm. We have seen stories in the autobiography of a yogi and the new path, where there are times in both Master and Swamiji's life where we see that there are times when they did not simply surrender to a natural rhythm, but they overcame and they used the strength of their willpower to rise above that rhythm. Because you see, man is that special species in creation that is given the gift of free will, and we misuse that free will to create our own karmic patterns that are always in opposition to natural rhythms. And so you see the story in the autobiography where Master's horoscope says that he's going to marry 3 times. And Master absolutely refused to accept it. And he sat in meditation very very with deep intensity, and asked Divine Mother, "Is this true?" And he had a very clear feeling in meditation that no. So the moment he had that clear knowing, he said he took the horoscope, cast it into the fire, and decided that this, I will overcome this. And likewise, he said there were other aspects in his horoscope which portended a very difficult time. And he said, yes, I did experience a very difficult time. But he said, with strong willpower and energy, he said, I overcame those difficult times. So you see, there is discrimination and wisdom also needed to, when do we surrender to a rhythm? When do we rise above? And especially this discrimination comes in with regard to man. You see, in nature, there is no problem. It's only God's will in flow, and it is very harmonious. Night flows into day, day flows into night, seasons change, flow into one another. It's completely harmonious. But in man, with free will, this is where we begin to lose harmony with divine rhythms. And so we want to be careful of karmic patterns that dictate a certain rhythm, and the higher calling of our soul that may call for another rhythm. And practices like meditation, clarity in our understanding, tempering our likes and dislikes, calming the heart, all of these aspects help us to see clearly, and have that clarity for ourselves. Do I really need to get into this rhythm? What do I do if I'm in one? Likewise, you will find in your life there are periods when you're having a very successful run. or there are periods in your life where nothing seems to be going right. And what do we do in those times? It's important to accept. First step is acceptance. And the second step is to see, what do I need to change in my consciousness? What do I need to strengthen in myself that will help me get to the crest of this wave and stay on top? So this is very important, friends. Developing discrimination, especially with respect to our karmic rhythms. Your Swami Kriyananda ji, we know, had a very difficult time when he was unexpectedly, asked to leave his master's organization, and he had a few years of a very difficult time, which is like the dark night of his soul. Now, what did Swamiji do at that time? It was, of course, very difficult for Swamiji to accept it initially. But as days go by and Swamiji begins to accept the situation, he's in gradually given guidance by Yogananda ji on doors that are opening and to how to seize those opportunities and look at a new expression in his life. So likewise, we too, he started with music, and one opportunity led to the other and so on, and then now after all these many years of discipleship, we see what a great work Swami Kriyananda ji did and what a great legacy he left for all of us. But what did Swami Kriyananda ji do? He took every one of those opportunities that Yogananda ji gave him, raised his willpower, his energy, overcame that personal sorrow, and put simply one step in front of the other. Because when these rhythms come, friends, they have a karmic momentum behind them, which is not easy to stand up to, and which is where you really need to summon and first of all be prepared. Preparation is also very important. That's one of the other principles in working with life's rhythms. Preparation: anticipate, plan, and prepare yourselves for what lies ahead. Um, One step at a time. Don't try to take leaps of consciousness, but one step at a time, slowly. Watch for opening doors, and watch for possibilities, and steer clear of likes and dislikes, because that can uh, silence the voice of our intuition. Intuition is a very powerful tool in recognizing rhythms that will help you rise or may make you fall. So, meditation is an essential aspect of every yogi's life and in every soul's life. And I often like to emphasize this very much. It's not an optional practice at all. It's a very essential practice to help us live life meaningfully, to help us live life joyfully. So meditate every day, as Yogananda ji said, in that calm silence of meditation is when we develop intuition. And the power of intuition is necessary for us to work with life's rhythms. Otherwise, unwittingly, we may be working against, and we may not know when to work with or when to work against life's rhythms. So anticipate, plan, prepare yourself to um, regulate and flow with a rhythm that is already in motion, or to be able to change the direction of that rhythm according to a higher soul call pattern. Um, be aware, develop awareness of natural rhythms so you can use them to the best advantage in your spiritual progress. Like we were talking in the beginning about how the body responds to many natural biological rhythms and how we can cooperate. That is the third principle: cooperate with um, cooperate with natural flows that serve you. And in serving you, I mean that serves your higher calling as children of God. Cooperate with those flows. Fourth principle being overcome, transcend any limitations that um, propel you in a certain flow, and that limits your expression of who you are. use your willpower, strengthen yourself, and look at possibilities, opportunities to create new rhythmic flows for yourself. So let's take a brief moment to close our eyes and visualize the life of the Divine Masters. Visualize yourself in the flow of their life. As their children, mentally resolving to work with divine rhythms. And to use our willpower, our discrimination, our wisdom to choose rhythms that lead us to divine freedom. Our body is a part of the body of the universe. And we also know that the universe is within us. And we have the power in divine will to create rhythms that bring light not only to our lives, but to the whole world. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.